The next session, we're going to go into a panel session. This is going to test the guys up the back a little bit because we've got three of our members are going to be here, or our convener and two members, and two are going to be remote. So this is going to, we thought towards the end of the program, why not do something a little bit innovative and see how we can come up. So I'm going to probably introduce Erika Oakes as the person who's going to manage this, and I couldn't have thought of a better person to be doing it because Erika actually only stood into taking over this role very recently due to some other circumstances, but as the IT project manager for DataGene, and someone has been doing an amazing amount of work around herd recording and development dashboard, I think we couldn't have found a better person to be lining up here and managing the 4 participants that she'll be dealing with. So the 2 remote people I'm going to introduce. First is Jo Newton. I think Jo's been really well known to so many people through the industry, through her work through the Improving Herds project, through her work with Dairy Bio. Donna mentioned her work in Ireland, helped supporting the value of genomic testing, and just so many other bodies of work around the NBO and MIR derived predictions. Jo originally undertook a PhD at the University of New England around sheep, young ewes, and actually at the same time made sure she had the practical experience of working with a superfine merino stud. Also, I'd have to it'd be remiss of me not to mention that Jo was recognised in 220 Queen's Birthday Honours list with Medal Order of Australia for her service to agriculture, and which is a pretty amazing effort considering once you get to meet Jo, age and already the contribution to the industry. The other person joining remotely is Geoff Potts, and some will have known Geoff. Geoff's been in the industry a tremendous amount of time. He's involved in Dairy Express and manages that. He was originally animal husbandry at Queensland Ag College, and he's spent around 40 years in many roles, but more recently, since 2006, the manager of Dairy Express. And Geoff's been pretty critical about delivery of on-farm services on behalf of Dairy Express. Now to the people who are actually in the room, which is great. First of all, Andrew, great to have you come across from Tasmania. Really appreciate that, because I've got to say, not that long ago, we weren't sure about how that would work. So Andrew's from New Zealand, born and bred, dairy farm in the top end of New Zealand, South Island, and spent much of his early life on dairy family farm. Travel overseas, involved in ag and hort. Large-scale lettuce operations and cereal harvest, probably something that we could do with more expertise here in Australia at the moment and stuff, and also managed a dairy farm in Wales until finally settling in Tasmania, where they share farm 700 cows. Andrew also spent time with LIC in Tasmania and has now come across to TasHerd and is really, helping drive the work of TasHerd. Our next and final person on the panel is Craig Bennett. Craig and his wife Sophie operate a farm in southwest Victoria, 4 children involved. His past 20 years in the dairy industry, from an advanced diploma of applied science, and has really gone through the farm ownership aspect of that. In 2018, Craig became a director of HICO and really not only is passionate about herd recording, but also contributing to the delivery and herd recording. So that's going to be our panel, and I thank everyone, and I'm going to turn over to Erika.
Doesn't matter? No? Cool. All right. Thank you. Okay, so I'm not going to give a presentation. I think we'd prefer to hear from the panel than me. And Matt did a really good job of setting the scene on the new herd test reporting platform. So I'm going to start off with Craig. How do you currently use herd testing, and how do you see online tools helping you in the future?
Oh, thanks, Erika. Yeah, I'm a big advocate for herd testing. I bought my farm 14 years ago, and I think we've been herd testing for 13 years. That 14 through the downturn in prices, we've always stuck to it. Really see the value in it. I often ask people why don't they herd test, and there's a whole realm of reasons they give, I suppose. But quite often, I think you hear that people say, "I don't have a cell count problem." Well, I'll admit the first list I look at every month is a cell count list. You're always looking for that one or two cows that have caught you out. But it's just so much more than that. We really use it to measure the profitability of individual animals in our herd. We do some genomic testing. We haven't got to a stage of blanket doing the whole herd yet, which we probably should have. But even with our cows that we have tested, we sometimes forget about the environmental factors, and I think that's what my herd test on farm picks up within my herd is I've got high cows and low cows with BPI, and the low cow is a low producing cow, even though she's a high BPI cow and vice versa. So we really like to look hard at our kilos of solids each month. We herd test monthly, and along with my nutritionist, we calculate our income over feed costs, rule a line through the page, and would look seriously at any cows not reaching that production target of our break-even analysis. So that's probably one of the main things we do. We don't blanket cull those cows below the list. It's just we have a good look at why they're there, whether we breed from them in the future, and maybe they don't get rejoined and they just finish the lactation out, or maybe they have an extended dry period. They might be more profitable in the dry cow paddock than running through the herd. So we individually feed. So again, I don't have flow meters or anything at a dairy. So our monthly herd test then sets our feed rates for all the groups of cows within the herd, where we split calve in 2 6-month blocks for 9 weeks. And so because of that complexity, I suppose, in our system, we always have various cows at different stages of lactation, so we use the herd test to make sure we balance their diet via the silo with that. Going forward, I've had a brief look at the new platform. I'm pretty excited about it. I think the dashboard will be fantastic. It'll be a great asset for promoting herd testing in general and just ease of use. What I've seen of it looks really good. I want to get a login and get into it, and I encourage others to follow up and have a look at it. I think it'd be something I would share with my farm advisors and nutritionists that we work with, and I think something I'd even forward on to the bank manager at our yearly reviews. Yep. I think they'd see the benefit in that too.
Great. I'm gonna flip to Geoff, who's virtual with us. So Geoff, your farmers have had access to online reporting for a number of years. Can you give us a couple of examples as to what they value in those online reports for herd testing and how they use that with their advisors?
Right, well, thanks for the opportunity. One of the main advantages of the online platform is that data can be delivered in different formats, and in its current format, we've got 5 scatter graphs that look at various scenarios in relation to the herd. One's a straight cell count graph, and then you've got one that's really valuable is where it compares days in milk to milk yield. And this graph enables farmers to look at their transition management and whether it needs twigging, and also the number of cows that are failing to reach peak yield. And because it's graphically there in a scatter graph, and that's linked through so the farmer can click on the marker and take back to those cows. But in the new platform, it's gone a step further, where you'll be able to actually cut out groups of cows and they get presented to make it even easier to analyse why the issues are there and why cows are failing to transition properly or maintain a peak for as long as needed. And it just makes management decisions a lot easier when the data's viewed graphically like that, and also all reports can be looked at as a spreadsheet, which also makes management decisions a lot easier because the farmer can cut out the ones he doesn't want and then look at the extremes, especially the low extremes. And I think once the new platform's rolled out nationally, I think people will just be amazed at the more value that will come out of herd test, because it's a bit of a game changer in that it's no longer just looking at lists of cows, and as Daniel touched on yesterday, there's the ability to create lactation curves for groups of cows and plot these against where your herd should be in the production that you're targeting. And in its current state, I mean, I'm anxiously waiting for some more interpretation through the MIR results for ketosis, but right now there's a basic formula which sometimes can be criticised, because especially where it's done as a single sample, but it takes a fat to protein ratio which does indicate issues in a herd if there is ketosis issues. But it just opens up a whole new range of how a farmer looks at his data, and because multiple people can have access to the login and look at it at the same time, it reduces the need for people to travel distances to be on farm to look at data, and makes that interpretation with a number of people a lot easier when they can view the data at the same time.
Yep. No, that's great. So, Joe, what opportunities do you see for linking herd testing information with other data, such as MIR fertility reporting or selective dry cow or genomics in the future?
I think it's a really exciting time at the moment, Erika. The opportunities that are arising from the first dairy bio and that will arise with dairy bio 21 to 26, we're gearing ourselves to be quite transformational in how farmers can get the most out of herd testing and move beyond milk quality into things like cow health and fertility. So we heard farmers speak yesterday on some of the work that we've been doing looking at MIR data collected during an early herd test being used to identify cows with high and low probability of conceiving early in the joining period. And I think that information is really helpful in order to think about how we might be able to prioritise semen or even management interventions before joining starts. And
I'm going to jump back to Craig just on that point. How important do you see that MIR fertility prediction report coming through? How is that something that you would use?
Oh, for sure. I think 2 years ago we sat here, I was in the room, and that was the first time I'd heard of it, and it's probably one of my main takeaway things from the conference 2 years ago that I was looking forward to that becoming available. It would be something everyone use, again, add value to the herd test report. And how good would it be for me on farm to know I've got a higher probability of getting a cow and calf, spend that little bit more on some semen, aim for perhaps that higher genetic gain, which generally costs the extra dollars, as opposed to those cows with a lower probability. You'd probably pull your semen price back, I think, on those. So yeah, that's how we would look to use it, and we look forward to that point, really.
Great. And Andrew, how do you see the roles of farmers and advisors changing in regards to having access to more of this information? How do you see that sort of role with the interaction of the reports and the information?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a polar shift, really. Definitely something we've been looking at TasHerd is better collaboration with the processors, in particular the vets and the nutritionalists and the like. So, to be able to generate a ketosis report and your nutritionalist has access to that, it's pretty powerful, I think, for that network building. And we've all been working in silos for so long. It's really cool to see us all working together and sharing this information. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's good. If anyone has any questions as well, please feel free to either go to the microphones or send stuff through on Slido. We're happy for anyone to answer any questions. Joe, what do you see coming down the pipeline in the next 5 to 10 years in terms of herd testing and where it could go?
Yeah, I think Jenny did a really nice job yesterday in summarising some of the exciting things coming through Dairy Bio 21 to 26, with this focus on how we can combine our next-gen genomic information and high-tech phenotyping records, including our MAR spectral data. And some of our overseas guests have done a really nice overview of some of the exciting things in the pipeline there. So I think, this multi-omics approach where we can bring everything together, so our genotypes and our new and traditional phenotypes, to produce new ABVs, and also to start entering that space of, real-time performance prediction for decision support tools. I think that's a really exciting opportunity coming along in the next 5 to 10 years.
And Geoff, what is the one bit of additional information or new test that you would like to see in herd test reports in the future?
I think moving forward, getting more value out of the MUN data and being able to present it in a way that it can be looked at to analyse groups of cows. Because I think one of the things moving forward is the move from, as Daniel mentioned yesterday, looking at individual cows to looking at groups of cows, where better management decisions can be made, and we've now sort of proved that the MUN data that we're getting tests up right with the standards. And so I think moving forward, and that combined with the additional reports that we're going to get from the MIR data, I think will be very useful as we move forward.
Andrew, same question to you.
Yes. So I guess just talking about sort of 5 years down the track, that type of thing. There's been a lot of talk about adding value to herd test data, but I just wonder if the language you use around that should be showing profit from herd test data. And I think farmers want to make money at the end of the day, or they want to repay their debt, or whatever it is. So I guess if I look back, 12 months ago, we went on a tour through the Waikato, and there was a drought on there at the time. A lot of farms were milking once a day. They had mobs dried off, and the language there was all around, I've got 4 herd tests booked in this year, but I'm about to do an extra one just so I know exactly who I can get rid of and who I can't. Whereas, you have a clawback in Australia, and the first thing to fall off is herd testing. So how do we change that perception from it being a cost to our business to something that we can't actually do without? So I think that's really where we need to be heading, and I feel like we probably are heading in that direction, but it's it's a pretty hard sell. So and also around, I did a survey also around heifer export, and I think that ship's probably sailed, no pun intended, but there was 50% of people exporting heifers and not undertaking any herd testing. So potentially Australia's been losing some of its best genetics to China. So it's having all of these types of conversations. I think it's a multifaceted approach that's going to be coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Craig, what do you see as the biggest hurdle for farmers using herd testing reports?
Oh, probably at this stage, the format that it's come back in, and that is obviously changing and improving all the time. But again, I come back to our own scenario, and my nutritionist says, flick it through to me on Excel, and he's formulating things out of that. That's highly inefficient, and we've got to be beyond that.
So having a new platform where you can give them access to that information just by pressing a button, that is ideal to you? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just a total time saver and a no-brainer, really. It'd be, that's why I said it was something I was looking forward to coming along, because I know that it's labour intensive how we're doing it at the moment, and not an efficient use of time. So. Yep. Okay. Are there any questions from the floor? Matt?
Yes, I'm going to be greedy and ask 2. And the one is to Andrew and Geoff, and the other is to Craig. So, clearly interfering with something. Craig, my question for you is, we've talked and heard a bit about data integration over the last day and a half, and I'd be curious of your view on how important it is to integrate herd test data with other information, and just whether you view that as important, or whether you are less interested in that. And by that I mean other things like pasture, like inline meters, etc. Yeah. And my question for Geoff and Andrew is, where are we going next? And how can we work together as an industry? Andrew, you said change the narrative, change how we speak about it. How do we work together on that?
Do you want me to go first?
You go first, yeah.
I think the easiest way I can answer that is by saying I love the Canadian Dairy Network. You get on there, one website, I can find up anything about any individual cow, whether it be pedigree information, production information, genetics, genomics. It's all there in the one place. And if we could all pull together and everyone in the room and whoever it needs to take to get to that, it'd be fantastic, I think, to have just one central database with all the information on the national herd in it. That'd be fantastic.
Andrew?
Me? Yeah, right. Where do we go to next? I think it's all around just communication. It's, we've got to be open about what we're up to. Like Tassie's been a little bit naughty. Like we run our own herd testing platform, separate to DataGene. We've just built our own online platform that looks just like DataVat, that type of thing. But, we're collaborating and talking, and I think that's what's most important. I think, where to next? I think we're kind of getting there now, and you can be on the right path, but if you sit on the path, you're still going nowhere. So we've all just got to crack on with it and talk to each other and do what we need to do. Yeah.
Yep. So we've had a couple of questions come in on Slido. I think some of them have slightly been answered already. What buy-in pushback are you seeing from service providers, consultants about adapting their business models to use and benefit from data and reports? So I suppose this one's for Andrew and Geoff.
Do you want to go, Geoff?
Geoff, do you want to go first?
Yeah, over the last probably 6 or 7 years, having their online platform, and I think once it's rolled out nationally, everyone will see how much easier it is to interact with consultants, advisors and vets, and the uptake by them has just been huge, because it makes managing their client relationship a lot easier with the online platform. And from Dairy Express's point of view, we've took on board some things and added to the platform, and the majority of that, plus some extras, has been added to the new platform. So I think, as I said before, the new platform is a whole game changer for herd test. It's not just about reports, as farmers might look at reports now, but it's the ability to be able to work with advisors and consultants and micromanage mightn't be the right word, but just get a lot more value out of herd test. And with the additions coming through the MIR data and that, it just opens up tremendous opportunities, things that we haven't really gone into yet, but just taking herd test to be more than cell counts and the message that you can't manage what you don't measure. I think moving forward with the platform is going to just open up so much.
Yeah, and I'll probably add to that, and it'll probably answer Steph's question there around local engagement as well. You sort of feel like you're treading on eggshells a bit with the vets and things sometimes. We've got to be careful. We're looking at Staph aureus, ELISA testing, so we'll be able to generate a report to farmers with their herd test to tell them which high cell count cows are Staph aureus. I think there's a few other centres maybe going to have a crack at that as well. The new product coming out of Melbourne, but it's a New Zealand company, and we've got to be careful not to take work away from the vets and get them on the bus with us as well. And I think it's a holistic approach around the social licence story and that type of thing, that they realise the non-invasive preg test is not there to take their work away from them. So again, it's just about sitting around the table with these people and talking about it. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's great. All right, I think we might need to wrap it up there because we're getting close to time. So please thank the panel for joining and answering some of those questions. And if you'd like to ask any other questions, we'll be around for the rest of the day. So thank you very much, guys. Cool.
I'd just like to thank everybody for the participation in that panel. I think it was great to be able to bring together research providers and dairymen under the one panel to talk about the next innovation around herd testing. So, and not so much about on-farm, but how we deliver the results and the value it's going to be across a wider aspect of the industry, not just that direct having the half an inch thick letter turn up with a lot of paper in it.